Here's something you didn't know about healing through communication. Mario Wissa will tell us about how you too can heal yourself by learning how to unlearn certain habits and routines and beliefs that will transform your entire life. So, Mario Wissa, tell us, how can entrepreneurs heal through communication? Heal Podcast with Lily Patrascu shares longevity and anti-aging techniques to stay young forever, increase energy, overcome addiction, and live your longest, best life ever. Shared by world's most innovative, alternative, and traditional health thought leaders, healers, and doctors. Discover quantum healing strategies to heal your mind, body, and soul.
Oh, wow. Entrepreneurs heal through communication. I actually wrote a blog about this a few months ago, and it became a big topic, especially within my team, for us to become aware of the story that we are telling ourselves, the story that we are playing over and over. Is it like victimhood mentality kind of connection story we're telling ourselves, or it's more of a victorious idea and story that would help us to empower ourselves? And I'm actually penetrating communication from a very specific angle. The term is not that popular, yet it's really important. It's intra-personal communication. And this is more of an academic way of saying how you talk to yourself, how you converse with yourself. So during the healing process, how we converse with ourselves is crucial, because if the story we're telling ourselves is being repeated over and over and over months and over years, it becomes a trap for us. Hence, we need to heighten our awareness of how we converse with ourselves, aka intra-personal communication. And just to be clear, really quick, I think it's important to clarify the distinction between intra-personal communication and interpersonal communication. So interpersonal communication is like one-on-one, two people conversing. Intra-personal communication is how we converse with ourselves, which is a topic that's rarely touched in our entire academic school.
Thank you. Tell us how to create an empowering context for anything that happens in our lives so that we can start to heal through communication.
I love that question. For me, framing, priming, and labeling are really important when it comes to how we interpret experience. So how we frame it as how we tell a story, how we prime it as like, why did it happen? And how we label it. Do we label it like, is this like the worst thing that ever happened to me? Or this is like the best thing that has ever happened to me? I'm happy to share with you a personal story, personal experience. It's quick and short. In 2012, I went through a divorce after being married for like 4 years. No kids. Yet the divorce was really difficult. And it took me a couple of years to kind of get over it, to heal from it, to understand it more, to be okay with it. And at that time, I was attending University of Washington and taking communication classes. And one of the practices we were doing was interview techniques, how to interview people. So on the interview number 2 class, we were asking each other questions, basically to learn about the other person and to get more comfortable with the process. That was obviously over a decade ago, a long time ago. So one of the two of the questions I received during this interview practice was, what was the best thing that has ever happened in your life? And what was the worst thing that has ever happened in your life? And I was surprised to answer because I was not prepared with the questions. Everything was like spontaneous. I had the same response for both questions, which was my divorce. in 2012. One of the worst things that has ever happened to me, yet it is one of the best things that's ever happened to me. And slowly, with time, I started to lean towards this is the best thing has ever happened to me. What can I do about that? It did not happen to me, it happened for me. How can I use this opportunity? So, framing what happens and how we put a label on it is crucial. Even in psychology, many doctors and psychologists they talk about the danger is such a big word, but the danger of using labels mindlessly. Oh, this is good, this is bad. Once we make that, our mind decide, oh, it's bad, our mind start building a story based on that label. Oh, it's good? Okay. Our mind start building story based on that label. I hope that makes sense. What do you think?
Yes, in
Oh,
fact,
to hydrate.
I agree. And I remember I used to be very negative. Okay. And I remember I used to be very pessimistic as well. And although I can say that a lot of times there were moments when I thought, wow, I'm so lucky. Everything happens for me and I can manifest anything I want. Although at the time I wasn't so much aware of what it really means to manifest, but I had this almost like this feeling that I'm very lucky that whatever I want, I can get. And initially, I remember that if anything bad happened to me, and not a lot of bad things happened to me, but when they did, I would kind of take it really badly. Okay, until one moment when I read this book called How to Win Friends and Influence People, and what it taught me was about the power of looking at things from a positive side. And I also did a lot of research about the billionaire mindset for someone. Now, although that person didn't actually end up, completing his part of the agreement, I managed to actually learn so much from the research on the billionaire mindset. And one of the most important things I learned was that when you look at things from the positive side, when you see things as having the glass half full rather than half empty, you can gain so much. And so, for example, when I was a nanny many years ago, I remember at some point I tried to work in an office and I took a job as an administrator and I worked there for 5 days. And it turned out I actually was incompetent because I didn't have the skills to open Word, Microsoft Word. So I got let go after 5 days. And I could have thought, this is a terrible thing. Why does this have to happen to me? And the way I decided to choose to look at it was that I was lucky and therefore something better would come up and something better did show up. So I fully agree around that. Now, tell us what kind of words or what kind of perspectives should entrepreneurs consider when trying to heal through communication?
So I'm going to have to extrapolate some information from my own research in communication for over 17 years. And this is a treasure I'm sitting on, and I'm doing my very best to use it to share and publish and speak about. One of the things I discovered, I'm aware that you're focusing on like entrepreneurs or entrepreneurship, yet after interviewing and connecting with literally thousands of people from the east to the west, all the way from India to Sri Lanka to Nepal, Indonesia to the US. The luckiest ones that I've met who seem to be content and happy with how things are going in their lives are the ones who keep repeating, I am lucky. It is so simple, yet it is extremely powerful. Now, I know someone might hear this now and go like, but how can I say that if I don't feel it? Well, for you to feel it, you have to pay attention to those things around you that make you feel that way. Very simple example. You and I woke up this morning and we're having this podcast. Every single day on this planet Earth, 150,000 people do not wake up, regardless to the age or health, or it just happens all around the globe. And we got the lucky ticket for today to have another chance. That's pure luck right there. I don't have to have like $2 million in the bank and like 11 digits of zeros and ones to say that I'm lucky. I'm lucky that I'm lucky to have this podcast, to have a channel where I can share my voice authentically and genuinely. So with that being said, a lot of entrepreneurs, and I'm guilty of it as well, we tend to think that we want to achieve so much in very little time. And research shows that people who tend to want to achieve so much in life and they seem to be unstoppable, and many people will bring up like Elon Musk as an example. A lot of this actually comes from trauma. The more we traumatize, the more we're trying to build these conditions to fill that gap, that hold up void within, or just how to deal with that inner trauma. The beautiful thing about like healing and articulating a different story for ourselves is that not only as we're healing, we're feeling better about what we are doing, we actually become a lot more productive. When we do things from pain, it seems a lot more struggle. Yes, we'll get things done. It will be even more painful. But when we approach it from I'm healing and I have a healthier story to tell myself throughout the process, whatever seeds that we plant, they become more fruitful quicker. And actually, it's almost miraculous. It's not easy to describe. It has to be experienced. So a healed entrepreneur is actually a lot more impactful. And every seeds that he or she plants, it becomes more fruitful and quicker with time.
Thank you. How can disempowering stories be turned into empowering stories for entrepreneurs like me?
To be honest with you, because that's where it started for me. I did a lot of therapy, and since I'm a veteran, I go to the VA. I served in the U.S. Navy, and I have PTSD and TBI, head trauma, and other things that happened. And this is honestly, that's how I feel right now about your question. Surrounding ourselves with the right energy. What I mean by that is 99% of my therapy is actually professionals, where I go to the hospital or to the clinic. When I attempt to share what's on my mind that I might be struggling with, whether like past trauma or something that I'm trying to heal through, most people around me, they don't have the skills and tools, not to mention they are dealing with their own trauma and they're not even aware of it to be able to help me. Hence, I feel like external input would be very helpful, whether if you like in-person engagement, maybe like some kind of therapy. Some people actually enjoy reading. So reading a lot of self-help books, and you'll be like really blessed if you come across someone else's path who's trying to heal in a similar way that you do. That can be an amazing experience. The last thing that I want to mention, which is probably the most challenging part, is static meditation. This is not easy. It takes time. You can start with 2 minutes, left 5 minutes. So there's a difference between, do you want me to go on about this, or you want to ask me something different? The static meditation. You want me to tell you about that?
Sure.
Okay. So most people, when they think the word meditation, it means like they just sit down and close your eyes and like don't move and you transcend to another state. That's like the big picture. Meditation is like cultivating the mind intentionally. So it can be static or dynamic. I feel like I'm having a dynamic meditation right now with you until now, I wasn't thinking about anything at lunch or breakfast or what plans I have. I was completely immersed in here now. Yet I am moving. I'm not thinking about anything else. Dynamic meditation. Static meditation basically static. You just sit in any comfortable position or even lay down and sit with your mind and have a good rhythm in terms of your breathing and just focus on whatever you're thinking about. Just having inner dialogue. This is like the hardest thing to do. I'm not going to lie to you because we all have answers within us. As you're asking me right now, what is your opinion, suggestion for me to heal with something trauma that I'm going through, like similar to my case? As many experts would say, with time, you are the most expert person on this planet in you. You lived with you 24/7, someone around or not, you're always there with you. So I'll convert that and say, I'm always with me. I don't want to like keep talking about you. I want to use the I statement. So, example for me, I would actually lay down, put my sleeping mask on, play some relaxing music, light incense. I got plenty of incense. I always light incense, and I write down the question, and either on paper or just think about it and just lay there. Sometimes 10 minutes, sometimes half an hour, and I just think about whatever question comes up for me because we think in so much faster rhythm that we can actually speak or hear. We think so much faster. So in a way, we have the answers. Yet knowing that taking the step is challenging in itself, yet it's doable. A lot of people do it. The second part is trying to decipher what comes up for us, and that might require even more meditation, reflection, or simply researching the topic, either getting books about it or talking about it with someone.
Thank you. I believe choosing to live a better life is a key in terms of actually making it happen. So I find, for example, in my case, that changing your perspective about your life can significantly improve the quality of life. So the way you see things. So for example, when you get fired or you get let go from your job, instead of looking at that as a bad thing, looking at where is the positive in this? Where's the positive in anything bad that is happening? For example, let's say you have a problem with a contract with someone you're delivering a service to. That person is teaching you to have better contracts. That person is teaching you to prepare for something even bigger that could happen in the future. So by you looking at that right now, you are actually benefiting from having a way bigger problem in the future. The other thing that I find is that when you choose to accept yourself the way you are, and to really see the amazing and the awesomeness of you, I find that you can really significantly improve the quality of life as well. And you can start to heal yourself, because when you start to see yourself in a different light, you start to appreciate yourself more. And that's when you'll find that you are appreciated more by other people, and you're reflecting that in the environment. And because of that, you're attracting better people, better clients as well. What do you feel about that? Do you also agree with that?
I actually love what you said, and I think you need to be a guest on some podcast because you have a lot of amazing things to share. I love your thoughts. There's one keyword that you used that reminds me of some of my work, which is the word choice. This is one topic of debate for centuries and for thousands of years, which is free will, which is choice, versus predetermination, or things are predetermined. Do you have a stand on that? If life is free choice or life is predetermined?
I mean, I'm not sure I can really cover that subject, but what I can say is that I feel that it's so important to accept yourself, and it's so important as well to choose to be happy. And it's important to kind of see everything that you're doing from a positive perspective, because when you do, you will start to attract better things into your life. And what I found in my case was that because I had a lot of trauma from a young child, and I think a lot of people grow up with some sort of trauma, whether it was someone who said something about them when they were really young, whether someone said you're not good enough, or someone said, you're this or you're that, or you're not this or you're not that in some way, that those kind of beliefs can become so entrenched in how you feel that you're trying to actively manifest it around you. So, for example, when you are having a conversation with someone, if you're thinking I'm not good enough, or I'm not smart enough, or I'm not this enough, then it's like, even if there's no proof in your environment that you are that, you are going to somehow create it. And then you're going to look for the proof that other people are thinking that of you. And then because of that, you're going to have dissatisfactory conversations with people. And then you're going to find that people actually don't see you as amazing as you are. So that's why with time, I find affirmations are so important to change the way you see yourself. And when you start to see yourself as, I'm a very impactful person who makes a difference to millions of people, or whatever it is that you aspire to do, when you change that, even though it's not true right now, you will start to see those kind of things manifest. And in my case, I really have. So tell us what you think about that.
So I am aware that I only give you pieces of information, then I asked you a question, even though I'm like the guest here. So thank you for being flexible about this. To expand more on what I meant, because I think it's a very important big part of my discovery from my research. The reason why I brought up this, whether we have choice or not, free will, because person A might say they accept themselves, they're working on what they can work on, the past is like gone, they cannot change it, they're looking to move forward and develop themselves. The person B would say, oh, all this happened to me, how can they do this to me? And they just keep repeating the same story. Which person have choice? Which person is actually programmed to be that way? And now the answer that I discovered from my research, I was able to tie this free will and having choice versus predetermined path is our subconscious mind and our conscious mind. So when we are conscious and use the prefrontal cortex, we can actually make changes. We can make rational choices. Our subconscious mind, which is, I don't know if you're familiar with a book by Joseph Murphy, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. This book 18 years ago really changed my life. I read it like half a dozen times. So if you're familiar with it, and whoever is listening to this, they're familiar with the book, more than 90%, and the percentage gets larger with time, 80%, 90%, 95% of our behavior is driven by our subconscious programming. Now, this subconscious programming was actually formed in the first 7 years of our lives. If we only run by this program that was created from the day, actually a few weeks before we're born until 7 years of age, if we go on in life from this programming, that is predetermined path, because it was programmed in us, how people around us communicate, how they deal with life, how they deal with conflicts. Now, as we get older, especially after the age of 25, because the brain has completely developed, we start to make more rational decisions. And that is the free will. So, with that being said, someone else might be listening to this and go like, how am I supposed to accept myself? And here are my flaws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It can give you like a big list of flaws. Or someone else might hear listen to this message and they go like, accept myself. I've never tried to do this before. What is it like? Maybe, I mean, I'm sure there's some good things about me. I have some friends. It starts with the smallest things. to realize in ourselves that become really, really powerful. When we hear a message, how we frame it, how we interpret a message that comes our way is mostly instantly right away, but our subconscious mind. Oh, he or she asked me this or they said that, right away, programming go like, that's ABC, that's what it means. Now, if we slow down, there's another really popular book. It's called Think Fast, Think Slow. That's very powerful. If we think slow, we can see more than the initial perception of our subconscious mind. It's amazing how some people in our lives, and we're included part of that as well, that we have some people in our lives that we really treasure them and we respect them and we love them and we see so good in them, yet they're not able to see that in themselves. I was guilty of it. I had many relationships in the past where they used to compliment me on whatever I do, and my response was, shut up. I don't want to hear compliment. That sounds really aggressive, but that was like 20 years ago. I learned. Um, some other people, you give them compliments and they say thank you and they take it to heart. Our subconscious program is very, very powerful. To dissect that, it takes time and attention, dedication. And one of the tools I mentioned was static meditation, which is just lay there and just like think it through slowly.
Thank you. Tell us, what's the blueprint for entrepreneurs who want to heal through communication? What steps are there? Is there like a specific order?
So I don't think there's this, I cannot put in this situation, in this scenario, I cannot put things in 1, 2, 3, ABC, because different characters, personalities, and background. Yet, I can share, I'm more than happy to share like very important 3 key points that come up for me. And which is funny, many things like 3, 3, 3. There's a power of that. The first one is kindness, and I actually learned that from my dad. My father, before he got married back in the 60s, he was actually like a monk for like 20 years, Christian monk. And excuse me, he was one of the kindest people I have ever met. When people think about like Jesus Christ, I think about my dad. Kindness is extremely crucial. And entrepreneurs and leaders who think in a kind way to themselves and to the other people around them, they tend to become a magnet for people. People are attracted to them and they want to help them. So being kind with self and other people as well is, for me personally, is crucial. And I learned this from childhood. Number 2, to become aware of what's happening. I've had more than a dozen jobs in like 10 years in the US. I changed jobs a lot, including the US Navy. And the most impactful leaders and entrepreneurs that I worked with, they were humble. They were aware of their mistakes. When they make a mistake, they don't just like cover it up, oh, just because of my reputation and position. No, they come back and they say, you know what? I said this, I did this. Upon reflection, this is not the best way to approach it. I do apologize. I hope you accept it, and let's go from here. I have seen leaders do that. That takes humbleness and being aware of their own action. The third one, which is, again, I say third, but again, not in order, have a burning desire. I have seen this trait is common amongst my closest circle, myself, having a burning desire to achieve something, yet we do it in a mindful way, because when we have like a burning desire to achieve something, we can actually overburn like ourselves, over like, oh, I want to heal so fast. I want to heal. How long is it gonna take me to heal as the entrepreneur or a boss or a leader? I need to heal in like 2 weeks or 2 months. It does not work that way. It's a process. It's a very deep internal process. So to be kind with self and to be aware and have a burning desire for the process with resilience, are very, very important.
Thank you. Tell us what apps, routines, or habits should be used for entrepreneurs to heal through communication.
I actually, I guess due to my age, I'm like early 40 something, so I don't use many apps. I'm like notepad and pen. I always like to make a to-do list that way. Yet there is one tool that I have been using for over 14 years, which is I take 5 minute break every like 30 minutes. Or if I need to focus for like a good 45 to 50 minutes, I take 10 minute break every hour. I try to do my best to do this because it's like a mental reset, and I practice some yoga and meditation. So like taking either either 30 minutes or half an hour, 30 minutes or 1 hour to just like center yourself for like 10 seconds, like a inhale, exhale, and just continue. This simple step is very powerful because if we breathe more than 2 or 3 mindful breath, inhale and exhale, our parasympathetic system, which helps us to relax and to be creative, gets triggered. The sympathetic system is almost always like fight or flight. There's so much to do. I'm trying to do multiple things at the same time. The opposite of that is parasympathetic system. And this gets activated simply by 3 deep inhales and exhale. That's a very powerful tool.
Thank you. Tell us where entrepreneurs can find you.
So my website, www.mariowissa.com, and they will have the chance to email me directly at contactme@mariowissa.com, and they also would have the opportunity to book a 30-minute free session to connect and see how we could help.
Follow me for more interviews with world's most innovative health changemakers to live your healthiest life ever.